Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. I want to talk some LSU Bama here at the top of hour number 2. Brian Kelly met with the media yesterday, and he was going through the keys to beating Alabama, and I decided to take that answer and just trim it down to one key to beating Alabama, and that is, of course, you got to stop Jalen Milroe somehow, some way. Brian Kelly spoke about it.
Defensively, stopping the quarterback is going to be paramount. Milroe's outstanding. He also can throw the football, so, he is a dual threat. I think first down is an important down as well. I mean, they're one of the best third down and short conversion teams in the country. We need to get them behind the chains.
Milroe is different than anyone else LSU has played. I liken it to this, and this works for some people. It doesn't work for other people, but I feel like there are enough people that it does work for that's reasonable to talk about. Jalen Milroe plays quarterback like the create a player from your video game when you were 14. You get a big, fast, strong dude that has huge arm strength and can run away from safeties and run over linebackers. Like, there really weren't a lot of those in 1998 when I was playing my game, but Jalen Milroe is one of them. He is big. He is fast, he is strong, he can throw it a mile. And it is quite simply not a coincidence that in Alabama's best 2 offensive games of this season, which were at Wisconsin, a 42-10 win, and then against Georgia, a 41-34 win, in those 2 games, Jalen Milroe ran it 14 times for 75 yards against Wisconsin and 16 times for 117 against Georgia. He is an absolute problem running the football, and you don't have to just go back to this year to see that. You don't have to just look at their offensive performances against teams this year. You can go back to the LSU game last year, and you all remember it. It was nightmarish if you're LSU as far as Jalen Milroe running the football. He ran it 20 times, a season high, for 155 yards and 4 touchdowns. 20 carries, 155 yards, 4 touchdowns. He just destroyed LSU. And again, I'm not going to be your X's and O's guy every day, but it did seem evident that Milroe oftentimes was dropping back, and LSU was playing man coverage and turning their back on him, and he was just tucking it and running. And there's 14 yards, and there's 26 yards, and there's 9 yards, and there's 6 yards, and there's 17 yards, and they just never appeared to do anything differently to stop him from running. Now, that was a different staff, different group of personnel. And you have to imagine, after watching what we watched in College Station a week and a half ago, when Marcel Reed came in and LSU looked like they had never seen a quarterback that could run, you would imagine that they've been looking at that and going, okay, well, we got to shore that up. And that's undoubtedly job number 1 for LSU. Yeah, you got to deal with Ryan Williams. Yeah, they've got 2 running backs that are running for better than 6 yards a carry. Yeah, they got a big physical offensive line that's got some guys that are going to be pros. Like, there's not just one aspect to this Alabama offense, but there is one aspect that's more important than the other aspects, and that is Jalen Milroe's ability to run the football. And LSU has to find a way to slow that down in some capacity. I don't feel like it's realistic for LSU to hold Jalen Milroe to 11 rushing yards. I don't think that's going to happen. He hasn't gone nuts in every game. You can certainly point to some games with some sack adjustments where he didn't run it well. Tennessee held him to 11 yards on 14 carries. South Carolina held him to 36 yards on 18 carries. Now, he had 2 touchdowns there. Vanderbilt held him to 10 yards on 7 carries. Heck, South Florida, 12 carries for 2 yards. But you got sack yardage there, and I feel like there's going to be a real insistence by Alabama to make sure that he runs. And LSU has to be ready for it. Brian Kelly talked about defending Milroe in a Kalen DeBoer offense as opposed to what he saw last year in the offense under Nick Saban and Tommy Rees.
Last year, Matt, it was evolving. Like, I don't know that they knew what they wanted to do because it was a quarterback controversy. They were kind of playing multiple quarterbacks last year at Alabama. I think they had 2 or 3 quarterbacks going back and forth. Then they kind of settled on Milroe just before they got to us. And it was big chunk play. It was run the quarterback. Here, they've had all spring, and they've settled on a system with a starting quarterback. So it's consistency week in and week out. They're doing the same thing with him week in and week out. So there's a comfort level within the offense. When we got to him last year, you weren't really sure what you were going to get. It was a little bit of everything.
I know that conventional wisdom, and Joe, water cooler football fan, and myself is included in that at times, says, well, just put a spy on him. Just spy him. And that sounds great. And I don't think LSU is going to come into this game with no spy package that they've got. But it's easier said than done to spy him and then go get him in the open field. Like, Whit Weeks is a good athlete, physical guy, can probably run with Jalen Milroe to an extent. But it's hard to stand 8 yards from him, wait for him to go, and then watch him take off and then make sure you go and make that play. He's made a 2.5-year career out of running by guys and making guys miss. And he certainly did that against LSU last year, although I didn't see a spy on him a ton. But you got to figure Alabama's going to come out with a read option package with Jam Miller and with Jalen Milroe, and they're going to start there. And if LSU doesn't prove they can stop it, well, it's just going to keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. If LSU does make some adjustments and stops that, I think you're still going to see Milroe run, especially when he drops back and maybe nothing's quite there. Take off, and it's just tough to stop him. Now, it's happened some, but I think there's a lot of LSU fans that would look back at that game in College Station with a little bit of PTSD and be like, I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. Milroe is an average player through the air. He's not terrible. He's certainly not polished. He's certainly not elite. He's an average passer. He's pretty good, generally speaking, on the deep ball. He can be erratic on the intermediate stuff. I thought he looked bad against Missouri. 62% completion, no touchdowns, no picks, 215 yards. He got sacked twice. I thought he was mediocre against Tennessee, who probably has the best defense in the league. 56% completion, 2 interceptions and a touchdown. One statistic absolutely to look at here, though, is those interceptions. 2 against Tennessee, 2 against South Carolina, 1 against Vanderbilt, 1 against Georgia. There was a run there of 4 straight games where he had one. He did not against Missouri. But LSU probably needs to force a turnover or two from Jalen Milroe. I think you've got a better chance of getting your hands on a couple of those errant passes, whether he sails one over the middle or he's late on a read or any of the things that can plague a quarterback who's not elite through the air, which Milroe is not. If you got an opportunity to get your hands on it, you've got to get your hands on it. They did that against Jackson Dart in a couple of crucial spots. That's got to happen again. So it's a lot to ask. Spy him, get him on the ground, hold that rushing offense spearheaded by the quarterback down, and then, hey, when he throws you a pick, you got to make a pick. And these are all easy things to diagnose, but when you've watched Alabama play for the last 2 years, like most of us have, you've seen all this far too often. Like, we haven't seen enough Marcel Reed to make real judgments on what he should or shouldn't have been against LSU on Saturday night. But we've seen enough of Jalen Milroe to know he wants to run, he is erratic, and you've got to intercept the ball when he throws it to you. Look at Tennessee, they did it. You look at South Carolina, they did it. You look at Vanderbilt, they did it. They were in games or won games. You look at Wisconsin, didn't stop him on the ground, and didn't have an interception. Well, they gave up 42 points and lost. That's the way you've got to play this with Jalen Milroe. He's going to make some plays. You got to limit him and make plays of your own on the other end. It's a tough matchup for LSU. Jalen Milroe is a heck of a football player. We'll see him inside Tiger Stadium on Saturday night. If you're looking for LSU football content all week long, all season long, all year long, Hunt on LSU is our LSU football YouTube channel. And, of course, there's lots of LSU content up at this moment. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.